guys, Kayli from Kayli Bakes Cakes here, and today I'm going to show you how to make this Sleeping Beauty cake. I am starting off here with 6-inch cake layers that I've torted or split in half for a total of 12 cakes. I'm basically making 3 tiers with this cake, but the tiers are all the same size. So here I have 6-inch cake boards with a hole that I'm going to pop out in the middle, and then just another board to put it on top of. Just adding some buttercream to use as glue for that top cardboard, and then I'm going to start stacking. So those first 2 base tiers, I'm going to use 5 of those cake layers that I cut, and here I'm just sandwiching them between my brown sugar buttercream and vanilla cream filling. And once I get all 5 of those cake layers on there, I'm going to crumb coat it and put that in the fridge to chill. And if it's all wonky and weird shaped and everything, that's for the better, because that's the kind of look we are going for here. And repeating that same process here with that second tier with 5 of those layers. And again, making sure it stays pretty wonky. And for that third and last tier, I'm using those last 2 cake layers and just sandwiching those both together. So this one's significantly shorter. And once all of those cakes are nice and cold, I'm gonna go ahead and frost them, but this time with just a vanilla white buttercream. And with how the cake is shaped here, it looks like it's tilting a little bit, so I'm going to try and honor that with the frosting and not try to correct it at all. And as you can see, I'm using a bench scraper here to smooth out the buttercream, but that's obviously no means necessary to do so, just because the messier this cake is, the better it looks. Once I finish this tier, I'm gonna put it in the fridge to get nice and cold while I work on the other tier. So this is the other tier with the 5 cake layers that I'm repeating the same process with. And with that final and last short tier, I'm putting blue buttercream on it because that'll go along with the overall look that you will see very soon. And make sure you put all of your cakes in the fridge before you start stacking. So here I'm using a leveler just to make sure that the cake is not too topsy-turvy to the point where it'll completely fall over. So I'm just making sure that's nice and straight on the top, and will create an optical illusion whenever we put them together. I have this cake board here that I made covered with fondant, and now we can begin stacking. So here I have that first base tier, and I'm going to just put it on top of that board. And now you can use a wooden skewer instead of a dowel, or you can use a dowel, whichever you prefer. And I'm just putting that in the middle of the cake and kind of pushing it into the board so that it will stay and it won't fall over. And I'm using 4 bubble tea straws here to support the upper layers. And what I do is I just stick all the bubble tea straws equally around the cake, and then I wiggle them around to get that frosting line there, and I cut it right above that line so that it's right at the top of where that cake ends. And you can smush them back down with the end of the plastic that you cut off or with your finger. I'm putting some extra buttercream on the top to work as glue for that second tier. And just taking that and putting that through those skewers with that hole in the cardboard that we put in earlier, and just letting that drop wherever it wants to go. And I'll be honest, stacking cakes never stops being scary. And here I'm using 2 bubble tea straws for that top tier since it's not very big and it's pretty light. And repeating that same process. And now we can go ahead and put that top tier on. And now for the fun part. Here in a pastry bag, I have my blue buttercream with a number 5 piping tip. And I'm just creating that oozing effect of the cake by putting it first between the tops and bottoms of each of those tiers to kind of cover that up. And just trying to make it look like frosting is oozing out of the cake. The actual Sleeping Beauty cake was a naked cake, but obviously this one is not, so we have to make that illusion as it is. And I'm adding 2 extra oozing areas between each tier, just to make it seem like it's a lot taller. taking a palette knife, I'm going to just smooth out that blue buttercream to make it look like it's actually oozing out of the cake rather than being piped on there. And now we can make those little stars at the top of the cake. So here I just rolled out some yellow fondant, cut it out with a cookie cutter, and go ahead and stick those suckers on that top tier. And as you can see, this is why we made that top tier blue. And now I'm taking some yellow buttercream with a flat piping tip, and I'm just going to create little ribbons between each of the stars. And instead of making these out of fondant, I just got those pink candles from the dollar store, and I'm making little dollops of yellow on the top of the cake that I'm going to stick just the pink candles into, because that's how it was in the movie itself. I know they weren't striped, but that was the closest pink candles that I could find. And now that the cake itself is finished, now we can move on to the broom. So here I am taking a skewer and some bubble tea straws again, cutting it to that size of the skewer just so I knew what size I needed to do, and rolling out some brown fondant to wrap around the bubble tea straws. And this will act as the stick of the broom. To make the fondant stick to the bubble tea straw, I'm just wiping some water on it. And from here, my footage got corrupted, so to tell you how I made the broom itself, I basically just took some Rice Krispie treats, covered it in yellow fondant, texturized it, and then attached it to the bottom of the bubble tea straw. Once I put the broom up against the cake, I realized that I needed to cut the broom at like a slant a little bit, so that's what I did. I attached it with some extra buttercream there to the base board as well as the cake itself, and there you have it. Comment below if you guys really liked this tutorial and if you'd like some more, and don't forget to subscribe as well. Bye!